What up? What up? This is Zay. It's crazy. This be my third recording, so I guess episode three. I'm not sure if that's the type of lingo they use on YouTube. I know that's the lingo they use on podcasting. But anyway, this is the third episode of still tweaking with the title, but I'm right now leaning towards things I wish Dad taught me. Kind of long, trying to make it more concise. But anyway, the whole purpose of these conversations I'm having is with people who I've known and also people that are being referred to speak with me, just about the impact of a father. And we'll be discussing, having conversations with people who have fathers, hands-on or absent fathers, people who have children, people who don't have children, and with the hopes of providing best practices or helping fathers understand the importance of their presence and understanding that presence is more valuable than physical presence as far as gifts. So, my third guest, I want to give it introduced to King. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
peace. What's going on, Zay? What's up, man?
Cooling, cooling, man.
Everybody, how y'all doing?
Yes, yes, man. So, I'm just King is a single, eligible bachelor with no kids, you know what I mean? Like you like a unicorn out here.
Yeah, man. That's the first question I get. How many kids, or do you got kids?
For real, you are a true unicorn, bro. Like you got the pick of the litter not having any kids. But also a young man I've seen since a kid grow into a young man that I'm very proud of from afar. I never told you that, but definitely proud of the man you've becoming. And
Yeah, appreciate that.
you know, now prior I just started to my last guest slash conversation. I had guests fill out a pre-production survey and asking little details about their relationship with their father. And one of those questions I asked King starting off was on a scale of 1 to 5, one being his father being a deadbeat dad, asking them to rate their father, one being a deadbeat dad, five being there every step of the way. King rated his father a 1. So just wanted to give that context to this conversation before we get started. And the first question I want to throw at you: what made you interested in this conversation?
Uh, I was very interested because I feel like this is a very important conversation. Like where we are in society, especially like all the cards being stacked against us, and you know, knowing a little history, the government literally tried to take the black father out of the picture,
Hmm,
and a lot of young black men are raised with just a mother. So I feel like um, just the conversation is very important, and my story is very important as well. So I just wanted to, take part in this.
I appreciate that, man, and I appreciate again you reaching out and just being confident enough to be vulnerable and just let's put this art out, right? I think that's the beauty of YouTube and podcasting, right? I'm not a visual artist. I can't write, but I have a perspective, and I feel like my perspective is my art. So
Yeah.
I think that's everyone sharing their reality. That's their art. And what do you kind of hope to gain from this conversation, or provide?
Uh, well, I had my own battles, like trying to find myself and, just digging deep within myself. I learned that a lot of who I am today stems from how I was raised or how I wasn't raised. So I do a pretty good job of finding myself, but I feel like just having a conversation with another black man, can help me find some clarity. And, sometimes it's just good to vent and, get some things off your chest and, just let your story be heard.
Appreciate that, exactly, because you never know how many people can identify or empathize with you, right? Like we don't talk enough about these things. Sometimes we have social circles where our conversations are mostly trivial, right? Talking about fashion, music, chicks. I mean, sometimes you have higher level conversations about career and aspirations, but very rarely, I mean, me personally, do I talk about these things that were so influential in my development as a man, as a father.
Yeah,
So, that's what this is about
conversations,
also.
conversations with some substance.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, as I told you prior to us beginning the recording, I was going to break it up into three sections, and we're going to start off with our formative years, right? I always say formative years because my earliest memories were kindergarten. Like I didn't go to preschool. I started with kindergarten, and that's the earliest things I remember from learning my alphabet and songs to my father doing certain things when I was a kid. And when you were a kid, what were your parents married in a relationship or anything like that when you were young?
Uh, it's kind of like sad to say. I had like the typical, the black household growing up in the hood. Like growing up with a single mother,
Mm,
um, father incarcerated. So just young black man and his single young black boy and
mm,
his single mother trying to find their way. You
yeah.
know,
It's crazy that you say typical, right? Because as I was speaking about with my previous guest, I didn't publish that yet, but it'll be published posted prior to this coming out. But when you get older and look back, we look at that dynamic of family as it was normal to us growing up because most of our peers had that same dynamic. But when you
yeah,
look back, it's almost dysfunctional,
yeah,
and we normalized it.
yeah, and it's
Like
not normal at all.
it's
It's not
not
normal.
normal.
Like when you hear like your friends say, "Oh, I'm about to go with my dad," it's like, "Whoa, you got a dad?"
Word, word. It's like they're
Not-
they're unicorns, right?
yeah, yeah. I'm
And that's how
laughing
it's
at
supposed
it,
to
but
be.
it's not. Yeah, it's not like normal.
Word, word. So what level of involvement did your father have during your formative years? So let's say like 6 to 9 years old, from kindergarten up to like fourth grade, if you recall.
Um, I would say like just being in and out of prison. Like I wanted him there a lot more than he were,
Mhm.
and I would say like he wasn't completely gone, but it was more of it was more of a like a present rather than presents. Like
Mm,
it was more of school clothes. Here, take this, give this money to your mother for school clothes rather than, hey, let me take you shopping, go get these school clothes.
mm,
So I would rather had the quality time over the money or over the just the physical things or the materialistic things. And as I grew to realize, like some people may think that that is everything. Like, hey, I was there and I helped you I was the reason why you had these things. But
mm,
you know you saying that to a person that I will wear anything, I don't care about the materialistic things. So I
mm,
would say that from my younger days, I didn't have no father. I had my mother, and she did a great job. It was
okay,
rough at times. I remember it was just me and her, and
mm,
at times we didn't have nowhere to stay, but she made it happen. And
word.
yeah.
So you mentioned your father being having legal issues early in your life. Like, were you aware of those things, or what was your understanding of, because some people, I've heard stories that people say, oh, my dad is on a trip, or parents try to figure out ways to keep their kids unaware of those harsh realities, just to maintain an innocence. Were you aware of those things early on, or did they try to keep that like kind of a secret?
Nah, man, where I was from, it's like it was the blatant reality, and it wasn't it wasn't like rare. It's like everybody was going through it. So it was just like as a kid, you try to like stay away from it, but I was very bright, so I knew what was going on. And
Mm,
also, it was just like sometimes you would go visit. So sometimes I would go to visits, so I knew what was going down when I would go to visits and stuff like that. But yeah, it was just a reality. Like my mother or aunties didn't try to hide it from me.
mm.
It was all out there.
Do you think that was a good thing or a bad thing in hindsight, like that you were made aware of that, or do you think your innocence should have been protected?
Um, I don't think that it messed with my innocence because it was reality. I tried even back when I was that young. I try to just look at reality and keep it real with myself. So I didn't want to be in the fairy tale world
Mm,
and oh my dad is out at summer camp or something. you know,
word,
I knew what was
word.
going on, and I didn't think that it affected me in a bad way.
Hmm.
Like I said, I would go to visits and watching TV shows and movies. I would understand what was going on, so it would be hard to hide it from me anyway.
Okay. And what like how did it make you feel? Like what was the emotional impact or whatever impact on your development? What did
Yeah.
it have on you?
Oh man. And the crazy thing is I didn't realize this until I was coming of an adult. I didn't realize the impact that it had on me. So growing up as a kid, as a youth, it didn't really have an impact on me.
Mm,
Like I said, it was so normal. Everyone
mm,
was going through it. All of my friends was raised by single mothers, and their dad was either gone, whether being dead or in jail,
mm,
or just not being there. So it was very normal. I would say that when as I was coming of an adult, I would wonder like why I would be certain ways, why I would be just not having the guidance of that man or that father figure. It just stems back to my actions of how it would be like kind of aggressive, or just not knowing how to control my emotions, or not knowing how to assert myself in situations where the man should.
mm. Okay. And one of the things you mentioned also is that your father did provide material things for you. And it's crazy because growing up in the hood, I have this theory, right? Because first of all, and tell me if you identify with this. I feel like we become aware of our social status among our peers around fourth, fifth grade. And when we start to become aware of our social standing among our peers, it is like five ways to be popular in the hood: dress nice, fight good, funny, sports, or come from a well-known family,
Yep.
right? So when you mention material things, your father providing that, did your father instill a certain type of taste in you, or how did he influence your taste with the material things he provided?
Man, I would say like my father's very old school, so like I remember like going to certain places with him, like to the mall, and he would be like showing me these old school Adidas, like, oh, these ones, and I'll be like, nah, Dad, nah, those not it, man. Let me get the Jordans instead. But he trying to show me some Cortezes or something, you know. Nowadays I'll wear some Cortez because I understand the style. But back then as a kid, I'm like, I ain't wearing no damn Cortezes.
He trying to instill classic taste in you, like, nah, I need that flashiness.
Yeah, I ain't doing all that. So
That's
I
interesting.
yeah, not for real though. I see what you're saying. Like, like you definitely get classified off of like how well known your family is, or oh, that guy wears this, or he's good at basketball. Yeah, I definitely identify with that as well.
Hmm. And you knowing your family and knowing the reputation of your family, always some stand up individuals, both sides of your family, and well beloved and revered in the community. Like, how was that, like, with your father not being there? Like, did his side of the family try to compensate for his absence when he was going through his legal issues?
I would say that it was kind of tough being like, because I'm very, very, very close with my mother's side of the family, and it was like I wasn't that close with my father's side of the family
Mm,
because I feel like I didn't have him to bridge that gap.
mm,
So him being that missing piece, like I love them dearly and they love me as well. But I feel like we could still to this day we could be closer if he was there to bridge that gap.
mm.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, most definitely.
Now, in the pre production survey, you mentioned, morals, values, principles, integrity. What made you hone on to that among the list of other topics?
Man, because I don't know, I just feel like it need to be spoken about. I like to give a different perspective on it because I feel like my story is very unique because I didn't have no guidance.
Mm,
I didn't have my father's presence. And also, like, even though I had my mother with me, like, my mother wasn't, so well hands on with me,
mm,
or, you know, being able to teach me lessons that I need to learn. I was one of them hard head kids, get in trouble in school, come home, get a whooping, go back to school the next day and do the same thing. You know
mm,
what I'm saying? Um, so I wanted to speak upon that because, like, not to discredit anyone, but I don't want anyone to take the credit off of like my morals and stuff like that because I feel like I built this man.
mm,
I am who I am because of me. not to discredit my family because I have traits of everybody within myself as well. But um, I didn't have no guidance. I didn't have no one to teach me and say, don't do this and don't do that. And this is the right way to do this and this is the right way to do that. I had to go through my ups and downs and, you know, take the wrong path to find the right path.
Mm.
And I learned a lot within others' mistakes as well. And, you know, I just felt like it needed to be spoken on because I feel like I'm a very stand-up dude and I worked hard to be this way.
So, how would you describe the morals and character that your father? So, like, did he ever speak about those type of things, or was he like his your perception of his morals, integrity, and character was gathered by his example or lack thereof? Like,
Exactly. So lack thereof, you know, I just like I can't recall something that he sat me down and talked to me and told me about, or
mm.
you know, try to lead me in the right way. I can't recall
And why do you think that's like so important in hindsight?
because that's what these black boys need, man. I I just wish that, you know, I don't. I feel like I'm in a good position where I am today. You know, I feel like I'm a outstanding young man, but where would I have been if I had someone in my ear saying, you know, um, just showing me the ropes? You know, I made a lot of mistakes. What if I had someone in my ear teaching me and keeping me from making those mistakes by, like, you know, just teaching me off of their mistakes or off their knowledge? You
Mm.
know,
Now, when we talk about morals, values, and principles, a lot of people attribute, faith, or some type of roadmap given to them by their faith, whether it's church, Christianity, Islam, um, or even from our community, the Nation of Gods and Earths. Like, do any of those? Because it's always been ever present. We always had that around us. So many churches, so many gods building, Muslims. Did any of that influence your morals, or like you being fascinated with that and seeking that out?
I would say when it comes to that stuff, since a little boy, I always like, you know, when you come in this world, especially where we're from, everyone just throw Christianity on you
Mm,
and they just throw it on you because it's what they known, it's what their grandmothers and their great grandmothers put onto them, you know. And I don't want to say that I never had faith in that, but I even when I did, I always questioned it.
mm,
And I would ask questions and I would say, why would you believe this? And they'll tell me, and I'll be like, well, why do you believe that? And I'm a man of math and science. I like things that add up.
makes
But
sense.
when it comes to that, a lot of things don't add up. And, you know, as an adult now, a few years ago started my spiritual journey. And now that I'm a spiritual being, I have a lot of understanding. And like I said, I feel like things are starting to make sense for me now.
Okay.
You know,
So pretty much like things being like dictated towards you didn't make you gravitate towards it because the rationale behind it didn't make sense to you.
yeah, it just didn't make sense. It was just always questionable.
Okay.
Always questionable. But I
Okay.
but I study a lot, and when I do study, and like even though I don't believe in Christianity, I still, you know, may cross the Bible, and a lot of the principles and the hidden messages, you know, are things that you can live by, and
Mm,
you know, same with the Quran.
mm. So what because I don't think we got to the answer to this question, but what was the moral example your father gave you, like unintentionally? Again, we tend to follow our fathers. Our fathers are our heroes until we come of a certain age and we get to question whether they are the hero worthy of our admiration or not, right? So early on they're your hero, but what is the moral or character example he gave for you, if you can recall?
Yeah, so like you said, man, definitely a hero. Even when he wasn't there, I screamed for my dad.
Hmm.
Um, Even as like a teenager, without his presence, I scream, I yearn for my dad's presence.
Mm,
Um, and what I've learned from him, well, unintentionally, is what not to do.
mm,
I learned what not to do how not to treat your children, how not to go about your business. Like I learned a lot of what not to do rather than what to do, and those lessons were valuable to me. Like I I feel like you know, I would never treat my children this way. I
Mm,
feel like I have to get myself together in a positive and, clean way to make sure that I don't be away from my children for, I need to be there for them. I need to teach them these lessons. So all the lessons that I didn't learn from my father, I learned that I need to be there to teach those lessons.
That's interesting, right? Another theory I have through my experience in fatherhood and observing my peers is, like you said, you either have two reactions to your circumstances. Either you're motivated by it or you use it as an excuse to continue those dysfunctions that you were subjected to. And I see obviously that you are choosing the latter, and not the latter, but the first mention, you trying to use the what not to do. So fast forward to your high school years, right? um or even middle school to high school, was there ever a point in time where your father, as he gotten older, maybe was home longer and played a different role in your life?
I would say that, when I was younger, he just wasn't there.
Hmm.
Um, Middle school, high school years, it came to a point where he was able to be there and still wasn't,
Mm.
and our relationship kind of even got worse from there because like I don't respect that. You know what I'm saying? Like to you, like you said, you know how important, like, or I wouldn't say important, but I would say like the notoriety that um my family has,
Hmm.
and it was like to the streets. You're very important to the streets, and it would be situations where like people will come up to me. It's like, yo, I was just with your dad last night, or I was
Mm.
with your dad all week, and I won't say anything, but I'll be in my head like, damn, I ain't seen him in a month or two. I ain't hear
Mm.
him in a month, you know. So
Mm.
it's situations like that just leads me to be like, I don't respect that. Like you have the opportunity to be here, but you're not.
So when did you start to change the perspective? Like when like your aha moment when you like, yo, this is like he ain't doing what he's supposed to do.
Um, well, I had to grow up early. I had to become a man early, and I just realized that I can't depend on another man.
Mm.
I have to I have to be I have to show myself the ropes. If I don't have no one to show me the ropes, I have to show myself the ropes. And I learned that about in middle school. Middle school,
Mm.
it came a time where, you know, you ask your mom, "Hey mom, can I have 20 bucks?" Stuff like that. And you might get it, you might not. And it reached a point where it's like, okay, I have to show myself how to make some money.
Or
I have to be able to provide for myself. I have to be able to change a tire. I don't have nobody to show me how to do that. My mom not going to show me how to do that.
mm.
So
Yeah.
it's for me. It really started in middle school. And one thing I do say, like I learn a lot from observing and watching from people mistakes. But I give a lot of credit to this. I'm a '90s baby. I give a lot of credit to like music, man. I learned a lot of values and honored through music and movies and stuff like that. And I hold on to those things dearly, for real.
Like what? Like what movies was big influence, or music or artist that was a big influence on you in your formative years?
Now I would say like Nipsey Hussle. Like before he passed, I was devastated when he passed because like he taught me so much. In high school, he just taught me so much about just being a stand up man and
Hmm.
taking care of your family. And I would say that I'm a hip hop historian.
Ah,
I'm a
okay.
I'm a young I'm a
Let me
young
hear. Let me hear
I'm a,
something. What you got?
I'm a young cat, but I do my research. You know what I'm saying? So I go listen to Nas, and I love Stillmatic.
Mm-hmm.
And I just learned so much from that album. Like Nas preaches, like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you dudes running around talking about boom bang pow. You got to say something with some substance, man. Nas is trying to teach these guys how to, build the dynasty, build the kingdom. And I like stuff like that rather than, you know, all the other stuff. And I hold it dearly to my heart and to my faith.
That's dope. That's dope. Yeah, and I've come up through that golden era of hip hop when it was more variety. I don't like. I'm not the old, hey, get off my lawn, hating the young generation. It just our era was different because the mainstream variety was different. It was just so many different type of artists, as opposed to now it's the same message and all the music that is pushed out on the radio and on like social media. I mean, it's enough stuff out there, but you got to search now for stuff
Yeah,
rather than just easily stumble upon it. And Nipsey Hussle definitely, man, Nipsey Hussle was definitely someone that stood on morals, values, and principles. Excuse me, and integrity, and that is definitely a good model to follow. Now through all of these things with your father, especially when you mentioned, I thought that was very deep. You said like you bumping into people and they saying y'all were just with your father, and you wasn't like you ain't seen him. Did that build any resentment? Like what was your response to that?
it built a lot of resentment, a lot. It just came to me like I had to do some healing, man. I had to do some healing. Like when I meditate, there's this little boy in me that screams for my father. There's
Mm,
this little boy in me that needs to be healed. And I had to go back and see the problem.
mm,
I had to go back and realize, you know, what I was hurting for. And it built a lot of resentment. And at one point, like, I had hatred towards someone.
mm,
But, I just, as I grow, I understand that no one's perfect. And the way he is may stem from how he was treated. So I learned to forgive him for how he did or did not treat me. And yeah, I just learned to forgive him, and I moved on with it. So whether or not we have a relationship, even though I do want to have a strong relationship with my father because it's important, and that's my
mm.
family, my blood, of course. But whether we do or don't, it will always be love with me.
Yeah.
Always be love.
Now, when you started to feel that resentment, we started to become aware of your circumstances from a more mature perspective in middle school. When you did encounter him, like how did you interact with him? Was you like cold to him, or did you try to, always be optimistic with every encounter?
Man, if you know that guy, he's too smooth and slick, man. He's too smooth.
Mm,
He's too smooth to, be mad at him. So it's like every time I would feel some type of way, we'll get in each other's presence and it will always be love. Like I said, there's always going to be love with me.
mm,
I'm always positive vibes, and I don't really hold grudges. So it will always be love. So every time we do come together, it will be love. But deep down inside, I would never like, look for that in you anymore.
right,
You,
right.
I know, I know I can't depend on you when it comes to that, most emotionally and mental support. So I don't even look for that. But yeah,
All right. All right, so going now towards like high school and sports and stuff like that. I know you started to get into football, basketball. Like what like who were some of the people that helped you, because I remember you mentioned earlier in the conversation like how to search yourself as a young man, and it takes confidence to really stay engaged in sports and pursuing it. Like how did you manage to do those things without your father being around?
man, I just feel like it was so important, and I feel like it would be so much different. I always been a bigger kid. I
Mm.
always been bigger than all the other people.
Let the
And
audience know how tall you are, man.
I'm 6'5", man. I'm 6'5". I'm tall, man. And like, do you know how much it would have been different for me if I had someone to say, "Hey, take this basketball, go work on this, go outside and dribble this basketball, or let's go outside and play catch." You
Mm,
know, I got into sports in middle school. All
mm,
my friends was playing sports in elementary school, or
mm,
all my friends been playing sports since they were 5, 6 years old. I didn't start playing sports until I was 14.
Mm.
So you see the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Like so many different years of development that you missed. So you kind of like had to. It was like you had to catch up like double time.
Yeah, so it's just like, where could I have been? I'm 6'5". I'm a point. That's a point guard in the NBA.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I've had someone to tell me to go do this and do that, or whatever, or just say, hey, you don't want to play sports. It never even crossed my mind
Mm.
until I got to school, and all the girls like the guys that play sports.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Get that notoriety from that, like that attention.
Yeah,
Now, were was it any men in your life that provided some type of filling some gaps for you?
yeah. Well, for a long time it was just me and my mother, and
Mm.
then my stepdad came into my life,
Okay.
and it's crazy because when he came into my life, I rejected him because even though my father wasn't there at all,
Mm-hmm.
not one bit. I was fighting with my stepfather because I loved my dad so much, and like I rejected him, and my stepfather was doing way for me than my father could even imagine,
Mm.
and I don't like he did fill the gap, but he did all the things for me that comes. I wouldn't want to say that comes with it because a lot of people don't have that, like shelter and food and you know clothing and stuff like that. Like he did all the stuff that's,
The necessities.
yeah, necessities, all the tangibles, but still when it came to mentality and when it came to being a man and stuff like that, it was still missing. And uh, me and him reflect on it. Me and him reflected on it. Now, and he said, I just let him know that I wish that you would have stepped up more and showing me and teaching me. And he said, I wanted to, but you rejected me at the beginning,
Mm.
you know. So kind of went left there. But
That's a jewel right there. That's a jewel from the perspective of a stepchild because often people who marry and have blended families when they aren't received well by their stepchild, they might give up
yeah, I
instead of
pushed
just
him away.
understanding that
I
it's a
pushed him away
journey.
early on. Yeah, I pushed him away early on, and then it would be situations where like I would do wrong on purpose. Like middle school years, I would do wrong on purpose just for him to step up and put me in line and show me the ropes. But he just never did. But
Because he felt like I do the bare necessities,
yeah,
but it's not my role to play elsewhere. Now, what about other men in your life? Do you have uncles and I mean, I know, but like, what role did they play? Did they even see the need to fill a gap or even attempt to?
I would say that like I do have some solid men in my life, but still, I didn't have no one to show me the ropes.
Okay.
I would say that uh, a lot of it was simply just learning from afar of what to do, what not to do, and just how to handle myself. And I would say that I was, excuse me, um, I've been thinking like that for forever since
Mm,
since a young boy. So I was a little advanced than other people my age, and I can have conversations with older dudes. So sometimes people might not feel the need to.
mm,
They might see me handling myself well and say, "Oh, you mature and you mature
mm,
for the age." They probably think that I got it all together. In reality, I don't.
mm.
I'm just a teenage boy, but I'm handling myself well.
Word, word. And they don't understand that you're a type of person. Because a lot of people prejudge younger generation and think that you guys aren't receptive to wisdom from adults. They just think y'all know it all. But it's a breath of fresh air to hear that you saying you're receptive to wisdom being shared. You type of person that learn from the mistakes of others, and that's the epitome of a wise young man.
Yeah, I always been like that. I wish I had an OG to sit me down.
Mm,
No, I really wish I did. And that's why, even at my young age, I'm 23 years old, man. When I see young teenage boys, out here doing crazy stuff and out here wilding out, I try to pull them to the side. Hey, yo, I've been there. I did that.
mm,
I try to show them the ropes. and just hopefully that they're receptive to hearing what I got to say. I don't try to control them. I just try to say, listen, bro, hear me out. I've been there. This is where you're going to end up. Or, you know, I wouldn't do that.
Mm.
Stuff like that.
So with you getting involved in sports in the middle school, did that like fill a void in your life?
Um, I wouldn't say it filled a void. It just it just sparked more interest. It just sparked more interest. Kind of broke me out of a shell, being more outgoing with people, and showing me a sense of having a team and having people that you care about, and just building bonds and stuff like that. And also showing me to give me the opportunity that, hey, I can make it out if I do something real good.
But see, you just broke it down though. It did fill a void because you said it taught you all these valuable life lessons and help you establish bonds. So it pretty much helped you get a moral foundation, right? Because
Yeah.
you committing to something greater than yourself and building bonds with your teammates. And now how involved in sports were you? Like
Well,
was you like year round? Was you like AAU camps? Like what was your level of involvement in sports?
nah, I just played like my senior and junior year. I just played football and basketball
Mm,
during the football and basketball season. Probably
mm,
worked out all summer, to get my stamina and weight right. Um, Excuse me, I had to go back on something. Rodney Taylor,
mm,
outstanding man. He was my football coach at Neptune High School. Rodney Taylor gave me a lot of valuable lessons. And, just me being a young black man just running around like chicken with his head cut off, doing wild things and situations where I could have gotten in real trouble. Rodney Taylor sat me down and let me know there's bigger things in life,
mm.
bigger things in life. But
So I'm
to
sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
when it comes to like sports, when it comes to like the football and basketball, um, I guess you're right. Yeah, it did give me a sense of filling that void because I was the captain of my team.
Mm,
I was the captain of my team, and I gave everybody the same respect. Um, it was crazy because I was the captain of my team, but also the water boy. How that work?
mm.
Yeah,
Wow. And so that taught you some leadership right there. Taught you about commitment and discipline.
yes, sir.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's dope. I definitely know Rodney, man. He's a good brother, and I often reach out to him through social media because he always posting something that like gives me some great like out help me change my outlook on things. So definitely salute to the Zeke.
I love Rodney Taylor, man. That's an outstanding black man right there. Definitely,
Yes.
definitely showed me some great valuable lessons, man.
So so what you know doing sports and pretty much being self-made as far as like designing yourself, like what was it like transitioning to your senior year? Like, yo, you about to be an adult. What was like your outlook on the beyond? Like, yo, you about to be the world is gonna, even though, I feel like people say I'm grown. I feel like grown is different, right? Grown is when you really independent and
Yeah,
you living. Now you are an adult to society because if you make mistakes, you are subject to this to all the same consequences as all adults. But as far as responsibility makes you an adult, how did you prepare for that? Or you know, yeah, just in general.
so like I said, man, I keep going back to what not to do, and I had a lot of motivation to where it's like my mom was present, but I wouldn't say that she was. I wouldn't say that she was the biggest fan in my corner.
Mm,
You know, so a lot of it was motivation to make sure I vowed to myself that I would never like be low. Like I don't want to be no bum. I gotta make something of myself.
mm,
I gotta. I didn't have no guidance, and I have to prove that I have to make it happen for me. I have to make it happen. I have to do something with myself. So going into my senior year, that's when things start to get real. Um, I'm a very wise brother, and I had academic scholarships to go play. I mean, to go to school, and also had offers to play football in places. But Like I said, I started sports late, so I wasn't good enough to get a full ride. But
Mm.
you know, I still would have to pay a lot of money to go play football, and I was into making money, not owing it. So I figured, let me go find a trade. And I found a trade coming out of high school, and I've just been making money ever since.
Wow, that is very mature of finding a trade, right? And that's what I credit your generation for, also, right? My generation was the go to college generation, and without a plan, right? We were just told college was the end all be all, and we are responsible for this student debt crisis that America is dealing with to this day. Like I got so
Oh,
I'm in so much debt, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy, but I think that is so dope that your generation was aware of that. Now, what help? What was how did you come to that conclusion? Like, yo, it was just all you. Like, y'all need to get a trade.
yeah, I just learned from everybody. Like I have a cousin, and she completed her school, and she got her degree, and just wasn't able to find a job. Uh, my teachers always say, yeah, they went to college, and they're teaching. Teachers don't make enough money.
Mm,
I just see a lot of people with bachelor's degrees that can't find a job.
mm,
It's just so that kind of just pushed me away. Like, I don't want to be
yeah.
part of that. Let me go do something that's essential. You know,
Mm,
let me do something that's essential and people are going to need. So it's going to be for sure that I'm going to get paid. I'm not going to have
mm.
to fight for a job.
Now, what trade was you did you gravitate to, and that you still engaged with today?
I'm a truck driver.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I thought now, so I thought, maybe correct me if I'm wrong. I thought you had to be a certain age to be a truck driver.
Um, I got my license at 18,
Okay,
and you can work for a lot of places at 18, but to make some big money, you got to be over 21.
okay,
So I had to, I had my license, but I had to stay patient for a little bit to be making some
okay.
money.
Okay. That's dope. That's dope. And that is, it's crazy because you're so young and like so understanding of what you need to do with yourself. Like you so far ahead of the game right now compared, because a lot of people are waking up now. It's like truck driving is like the fallback plan for people who made mistakes in their younger years rather than them jumping fresh out of teenage years. So like, do you drive like local or what I mean, like what type of driving do you do? Local or you on the open road?
No, I'm local. I never went over the road. I don't think I'll be a big fan of that.
Mm,
Being away from where I pay rent at. You know,
mm,
you pay rent all month to a place just to come home for the weekends.
mm.
2, 4, 6, 8. You at your house 8 out of 30 days? Nah, not a fan.
Yeah. That's tough. I never thought about it like that. Now, so you making money? You a bachelor now? In your adult years now, what is your relationship like with your father?
Oof. Uh, don't really have one. I just recently saw him, and it's always love when we see each other, but that's about it. I would love to have a better relationship with him,
Mm,
but I don't feel as if I just don't feel like it's genuine right now, and I'm always moved with love and respect, but um, I only want to give that love and respect to people that genuinely have my best interest. And, till I'm sure of that, I'm not really a fan of, being around, bad vibes or fake vibes. Not to say that's what he give, but just I'm not iffy for it, iffy connections.
Now, you mentioned earlier in the conversation about, you said you've done research and feel like the black family has been destroyed, and the system that we are subjected to, whether it's like Section 8 and welfare. Do you feel like those systemic issues impacted your father's relationship with you?
For sure.
How so? Could you elaborate on that? Because I think this is a lot of people, hear these concepts, but people don't have stories to further explain or examples that tie to those concepts.
Yeah, because how was he raised? Growing up in poverty, Asbury Park, New Jersey. It was probably rough on him. And then, he probably didn't have the guidance what the guidance that I'm talking about. So, it's probably hard for him to show a certain type of way that he never experienced or he doesn't know how to. What I'm asking him to give me, he probably don't know how to give it to me.
Mm.
And that's why I forgive him for, just not being there. But also with, like being incarcerated, like, you you I don't want to get too deep. I don't want the government to come for me.
Go ahead, go ahead. They ain't paying attention to my little 16 subscribers. Go ahead.
No, just saying, like, all the odds are stacked against us, and you get forced to you're forced. If you can't get a job, what are you forced to do? You're forced to make a way, and that's only going to lead to prison, or
The revolving door.
yeah, exactly. So just having no options and being forced to do something, um just taking my dad away. Like, I would say, I'm 23 years of age. I would say my dad been incarcerated more than half my life.
Mm,
You know,
mm.
so that's the system. That's the system right there.
Yeah, the system is literally. I mean, they always say about the word recidivism, and that's the constant returning back to incarceration, and it's very difficult for someone to reform themselves when they're released and they have this felony attached to them indefinitely, forever for some, and it cuts off pretty much half of livable professions or wage given jobs,
Yep.
and a lot of them not even providing skills to people incarcerated to monetize when they come home. So I feel you on that, especially when you look at the 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 disproportionate sentencing of crack cocaine versus powder cocaine, which is something that the government is in the process of redoing. So, for listeners that are unfamiliar with that, the same weight in cocaine powder and the same weight in crack cocaine equal to different penalties. You would get way more time in jail for crack cocaine than you would for powder cocaine. And the people who were primarily selling and using crack was black people,
Yep.
whereas cocaine was seen as like a white designer drug for people who were of a certain social class, and the perceptions of it was less addictive. And to quote Nas said, "Most of my elders was failures from the poison that killed Lynn Bias." And
Mm,
for those who know who Lynn Bias was the basketball player they thought was going to be like Jordan's
would have been great.
rival. You know
Mm,
what I'm saying? He had a crack overdose, or like, you know what I mean, even though crack overdoses is rare, but he had a adverse reaction to crack. And you're speaking about your father being incarcerated, I'm assuming for hustling, right?
yes, sir.
For hustling. So, crack, again, it's been like causing like three adverse effects on our community: the
I think
addiction.
it's I think it's important. Excuse me. I
Go
think it's
ahead, go ahead.
to let the audience know that time difference, that prison sentence. You talking about crack cocaine that could lead a sentence to 30 years, to
Yes.
powder cocaine, 6 months probation for a white fellow. You know
And non-violent.
exactly. Yep.
And it's fortunate and unfortunate that society is starting to come to grips with those systemic issues that plague the black community. And it's crazy because it took the whole opioid crisis to make people more
Right.
aware.
But when it was crack, you gotta crack down on us and throw us all in prison. But when it's the opioids, when it's your people, oh, now you want to send people to rehab and stuff like that. Now you want to crack down on the laws and stuff like that.
Absolutely. I
It
mean,
goes to show.
it was all about, crack kills, say no to drugs, and law enforcement. Now it's compassion. It's
Now
like,
it's
it's a sickness.
yeah, come on now.
Yeah, yeah. So I see what you're saying as far as your father, being caught up in that system, and that unfortunate revolving door, that trap, right? We rap about the trap, and it's really a trap.
It's really a trap in all aspects.
It's really a trap. Now, what about your grandfather? Because I think a lot of times, as we mentioned earlier, um, your father or even your mother or even like the way we raise our children is a byproduct of we learn from our parents or what to do or what not to do. What about your maternal or paternal grandfathers? Were you having a relationship with any of them?
They both were dead before
Mm,
before me.
mm.
Um, I would say though, my grandmother, that's my rock, man. Uh, she she uh, she tries very hard, especially for the she let it. She has 21 great and great grandkids,
Sheesh.
21, right? And she let it be known that she like gotta try to help lead the boys because she know the cards that's stacked against the boys. Don't forget the black women out there. She don't forget, but you know, it's hard out here for us.
Mm.
And she tried to like put her imprint on that and just make sure that the boys is safe. And like my grandmother is the reason why if I'm walking down the street with a young lady, I'm standing on the side closer to the street.
That's old school word. I do the same thing with my daughter. I open my daughter's car door and my wife, and I'm very conscious of the image or just the what they should expect from men in general.
Yes, sir.
Now, what? Now, being that you know 21 without any kids,
23, man. Don't be trying to
23.
make me young.
My bad.
We got
23.
some ladies on here watching me.
Now did you? Are you like? Was it like a conscious decision not to be like? Was you conscious in not being a young father?
Um, I actually want to be a father. I
Mm-hmm.
actually want to give my child everything I didn't have. I want to
Mm-hmm.
install all of me into someone else, and help them be great. But
Mm.
what's more important to me, rather than just making a baby, because that's easy.
Yeah.
That's so easy, but it's hard to raise someone. And um, you know, also in the black community, you run into this problem. I would say a lot of my friends are going through custody battles and
Mm.
just baby mom and baby father drama, and I'm scared of that.
Mm.
So it was a conscious decision to not be a father right now because I'm waiting for my time. I'm waiting for me to run into someone that's down for me, and even if we don't work it out, we're gonna be able to work it out for that little baby right there.
Word, word. You're right. Now, what do you think is what would be something you would say to young fathers right now who are like, you know, trying to figure it out? Like, because I think sometimes when you young, you don't understand all the complexities of fatherhood or your decisions and how it impacts the child. What is something that you would say is important that people overlook?
I would just say work hard and make sure you pay it forward. Make sure you pay it forward because once you bring someone in this world, yeah, your individuality is important. Yes, you're going to still be you, and you still have to make yourself happy and live your life. But more, I wouldn't say more importantly, but like you have someone dependent on you,
Mm,
and that's important. You have to lead them in the right direction because if you don't, then they're going to be lost.
mm. Or looking for that whatever is not provided somewhere else.
And so I would just say pay it forward. Pay it forward.
Word, word, word. So, getting to the end of our conversation, I have two questions I ask all the guests. And what was the best thing you learned from your father, whether like directly or indirectly? Because again, you talked about things you learned because he didn't show or provide. What is something the best thing?
Um, I would say like in a news article, my dad. I don't want to get them two words mixed up because there's a difference.
Mm,
Um, in a news article, one time he was incarcerated. The news article mistaken him for being the leader of a gang, and he talked to me. He said like everybody knows that I'm not that, and he just told me don't be that. Don't be in a gang. And I never did, and I never
mm,
wanted to. Even when I did kind of almost slip into that, I kind of remembered that. Those words stuck with me. So it's just like, no, I don't want to do that because you know what that leads into. What you say, the revolving door.
yep, yep.
Yeah,
All right.
one thing that I learned right there.
And lastly, and I'm gonna keep repeating this little story about my life, and I ask you the question is, what is something you wish your dad taught you? And I always harken back to when I go to like Home Depot or Lowe's, and how, I always look at people like learning to be handyman and fixing stuff. They learn that from their father. So I go to Home Depot, I feel no place in the world make me feel less than a man when I'm looking for tools. Like, where is that thing that you use to put this? Like, I don't even know how to articulate it.
The thing
And
that you go like this.
yeah, like, and I feel like that's because my father didn't teach me that. So I just give that example to help you think of some things that you wish your dad taught you.
Okay, I'll give you this right here. When people talk to me, they say, "Oh man, you got an old soul," right?
Mm,
I remember riding in the car with my dad and seeing how passionate he was listening to Erica Badu.
mm,
I'm like, this manly man over here singing Erica Badu, like really singing, like giving his heart out to Erica Badu. And I don't know, man. I guess that was in me too. So like, I'm a big R&B cat. Like, I love R&B, especially that '90s R&B.
mm,
And I just that's one thing that I learned. You know, like some people be in the car listening to their R&B, and then their boys come in, they want to change and put on some gangster. Nah, man, we gonna keep it. Just you might be listening to some Her when you come in my car. You know what I'm
okay.
saying? Yeah, that's definitely. So I just like just listening to that music and just being soulful and not being afraid to you know be show my emotional side and stuff like that.
Mhm. Okay, so you wish your father would have kind of taught you about, or had a conversation with you about embracing that side or sooner, is what you saying?
Um, no, I'm saying that watching him in that moment,
Okay.
showed me not to be afraid of that
Oh, okay, okay,
because
okay.
he is who he is regardless.
Or
Nobody's gonna judge him if they see him singing some Erica Badu.
mm-hmm,
So it kind
mm-hmm.
of just showed me to like, people would judge me like, why you always singing? I like to sing.
All right, all right. So that's two answers to things you learned from your father. But again, I want, what is something you wish your father taught you?
Oh, okay. Wish. Okay. Hmm.
Like when you look back, you look like, damn, I wish I could have avoided this if I had this conversation, or if we had a higher level conversation about this. Like, what is the thing you wish your father taught you?
Hmm. Um, I wish my father taught me how to get it the right way. Having to become a man and provide for yourself. I fell into the trap of thinking that I had to trap, thinking that I had to follow footsteps, or just not knowing how to provide for myself. I may not have been of legal working age, and not knowing how to provide for myself, and just following footsteps, and getting caught up in doing it the wrong way. So I wish I had someone to teach me how to. I wish I had him to teach me. You can do it the right way. Here, let me teach you how to cut grass. Let me
Mm.
teach you how to shovel some snow so you can make some coins. You know what I'm saying?
Word, word, word. That's powerful, powerful, man. And with that, I definitely want to say thank you so much. And now, this is the part why I want to give my guests an opportunity to share any social media handles, or is there anything you want to plug, or tell anybody to follow you at anything?
Yeah, man. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at underscore flyo FLYO. Um, yeah, I'm a pretty cool cat, man. Check me out. Shout out to
Yeah.
you, man. I wanted to speak to you because me and you go back, man. You was my mentor at Boys and Girls Club, man.
Yes,
Yeah, for
yes,
sure.
yes.
Definitely.
Yes, man. You always was a personality, man. I always remember you having that personality that just light up a room, and I
Yeah.
remember you had your little chip tooth and all that.
Yes, sir.
And it just, I remember like you stopped coming to the club, and then seeing you years later, and you just shot up, and but you always were so respectful, and
Mhm.
and I was worried. Honestly, I was worried
Yeah.
that you would be a little more hard up, and you know what I'm saying, like, because the streets has a gravitational pull to it. You know what I'm saying, and
I
I worried about
Yeah, I learned that the streets, you could definitely become a product in your environment. And look at
Hmm.
me now. I got the hell out.
Hell yeah. I mean, I see you in a whole nother state. Like, and how long you been living out of state?
I've been living in Delaware for shoot, going on 4 years.
Wow. And you,
Um,
what made you just pick there?
Followed the girl, but I followed the girl, but end up out here on my own. And I like it because it's far enough away from home, and it's still close enough. If I want to
Or
go back, I got siblings and my mother out there. I go visit, so I can come back anytime I want to. But I live far enough that I ain't gonna have no unexpected guests.
word, word. That's dope. That's dope, man. Well, I'm proud of you, man. You keep elevating and keep searching and I hope that you and your father can have that high level conversation, maybe take a nice ride or just chop it up because ain't nothing like having that grown conversation with your father. Like, yo, forget all the personas. Let's just talk man to man, and it's truly liberating because I had a very tumultuous relationship with my father, and we are in a great space now, but it's still a lot of things that we are peeling back from
Yeah,
my early years. You know what I'm saying? And I think one of the things you have to let them know, like, yo, I don't need nothing from you. I don't want anything from you except for maybe wisdom will help me understand mistakes to avoid. You know what I mean? And just have regular conversation. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? And once you're able to break that ice, man, that'd be a beautiful thing, man.
yeah, for sure. Hopefully, I get to get that one day. That's what I do want. But I want to thank you for having me, man. This was a nice experience.
Absolutely, man. So I'll be in touch and I'll let you know when I put this up and I'll keep you posted. You already know, brother.
All right, man.
So
Peace.
thank y'all for tuning in, man.
Yeah, peace.
Peace, peace.